You walk into a room only to pause in confusion. Why did I come in here? You stand still, hoping the answer floats back, but nothing comes. It feels silly at first, harmless, even funny. But when it happens more often, when you start forgetting names, misplacing your glasses for the 5th time in a day, or losing track of what day it is, something deeper creeps in. Fear, not of the moment itself, but of what it might mean. That maybe your mind is slipping. That maybe this is the beginning of the end. And yet, here's the truth no one tells you enough. Forgetting why you entered a room is not a sign you're losing your mind. It's a sign you're human. And you've lived long enough to have a mind full of stories, thoughts, plans, and memories all competing for attention. What you're experiencing isn't necessarily decline. Sometimes it's just overload. And sometimes it's simply your brain prioritizing what matters most and leaving less important things behind. But still, the fear remains. After all, memory is our anchor to who we are. It's how we remember the names of our children, the faces of our past, the places we've loved. So when memory begins to flicker, even just a little, it shakes us. Not because of what we forget, but because of what we're afraid we might lose next. This video isn't about making that fear worse. It's about facing it gently, and then learning how to live with it, work with it, and even fight back. With compassion, with knowledge, and with small daily choices that can keep your mind awake and your spirit strong. Because after 80, you're not done. You're wiser, you're still learning, and your mind, with the right care, can still surprise you, inspire you, and carry you forward with clarity and grace. Let's begin. Your aging brain isn't broken, it's just changing. Here's the first truth you need to hear. Your brain after 80 is not broken. It's not failing, it's evolving. You see, just like your body, your brain goes through natural changes as you age. The speed at which you recall names, find words, or remember appointments may slow down. But this isn't the same as memory loss due to disease. What's happening is more like a traffic jam in your mind. Imagine a highway filled with decades of memories, knowledge, experiences, emotions. Every thought has to navigate through that traffic. Some arrive quickly, others take the scenic route. So when you forget a name, it's not because it's gone, it's just stuck in the middle of mental rush hour, and this is completely normal. Neuroscientists call this age-related memory retrieval slowdown. It's not a disease, it's not dementia, it's your brain filtering what's essential, prioritizing, conserving energy for the big picture thinking you've earned through life. In fact, research shows that older adults often outperform younger people in what scientists call crystallized intelligence, the kind of wisdom built from a lifetime of problem-solving, emotional resilience, and judgment. So while you might fumble to recall what you had for lunch yesterday, you're more likely to know how to calm someone in crisis, navigate life's complex moments, or reflect on a deeper level. That's not failure, that's mastery. And yet, because we live in a culture that praises youth and speed, you might feel ashamed when your brain doesn't respond like it used to. You hesitate to speak up in conversations. You avoid learning new things because you're afraid of forgetting. You start telling yourself, I'm too old for this. But you're not. Your brain can still grow. It can still form new connections. And it can still heal. Even after loss, even after trauma, even after 80, the trick is not to compare your mind today to what it was at 40. The trick is to meet it where it is, with patience, with understanding, and with strategies that support how it works now. Because once you stop blaming yourself, you can begin strengthening your mind in ways that feel empowering, not exhausting. And it starts with noticing the little habits, the daily choices that either nourish your brain or quietly drain it. That's where we'll go next. The tiny habits that quietly drain your memory, one day at a time. It doesn't happen all at once. You don't wake up one morning and find your memory has disappeared. No, it fades slowly, quietly, hidden beneath habits that seem harmless on the surface. Let's talk about those. Because long before memory loss becomes obvious, it begins as a whisper in the background of your daily routine. And unless you notice it early, these small things can quietly chip away at your sharpness, your clarity, and even your confidence. 1. Passive screen time, the silent thief of attention. We all do it, watching TV for hours on end, scrolling through the same news articles, or leaving the TV on as background noise. But when the brain is constantly absorbing without engaging, without reacting, questioning, or processing, it becomes passive. And a passive brain forgets how to think critically. Over time, this kind of mental inactivity weakens the neural connections that help you store and retrieve memories. It's not about never watching TV. It's about choosing content that stimulates, challenges, or emotionally engages you. A thoughtful movie, a documentary, even a classic song that brings back a memory. If your mind isn't being invited to participate, it's being lulled into stillness. 2. Loneliness, the invisible fog. Few things erode the mind faster than isolation. When you spend too much time alone, especially without meaningful conversation, your cognitive muscles begin to shrink. You're not bouncing ideas off anyone. You're not recalling stories. You're not being asked questions. And the less you speak, the less you remember how to. Studies have shown that chronic loneliness increases the risk of memory decline, even dementia in older adults. But loneliness doesn't always mean being physically alone. It's possible to be surrounded by people and still feel unseen, unheard, unspoken to. So reach out, even when it feels awkward. Say hello to the neighbor, call a friend, talk to your grandchildren, even if it's just to ask about their day. Connection is not just emotional nourishment, it's brain nourishment. 3. Sleep, or the lack of it. How often do you brush off a bad night's sleep with, "That's just how it is at my age"? But here's the thing, sleep is not optional for memory, it's essential. During deep sleep, especially stages of non-REM, your brain files the day's experiences, consolidates memories, and clears out toxins that, if left unchecked, have been linked to cognitive decline. Missing sleep occasionally isn't a disaster, but years of poor sleep? That's like trying to organize a library in the dark. If you're having trouble falling or staying asleep, don't ignore it. It could be your brain's way of asking for help. Number 4, poor diet. Beating the fog, sugar spikes, skipping meals, overprocessed foods. These don't just affect your body, they cloud your mind. Your brain uses more energy than any other organ, and it thrives on healthy fats, complex carbs, and micronutrients like B vitamins and antioxidants. When you deprive it of these, you start forgetting simple things. You feel foggy, tired, distracted, and over time, this nutritional neglect adds up. Try adding small things, a handful of berries, leafy greens, a boiled egg, a piece of fish. It's not about perfection, it's about consistency. 5. Believing memory loss is just part of aging. Perhaps the most dangerous habit isn't physical, it's mental. It's the belief that there's nothing you can do, that memory loss is inevitable, that it's too late to change. That belief becomes prophecy. Because when you stop trying, when you stop learning, when you stop believing in your ability to grow, your brain follows. It slows down, not because it has to, but because you told it to. But here's what I want you to remember. Every day, your brain is listening, and it responds to what you give it. Food, rest, movement, thoughts, connection. It's not about reversing the past. It's about shaping what happens next. Even if you've let these habits slip in quietly over time, you can still begin again. One small step, one better choice, one stronger memory at a time. And that brings us to the next part. How to strengthen your mind every single day. Not through effort and pressure, but through rituals that feel like self-respect. If you want to keep your mind clear, focused, and alive after 80, you don't need a magic pill or a complicated routine. What you need is consistency. Small rituals, moments of intention repeated each day, like watering a plant. The more care you give, the more life it gives back. Here are 5 powerful rituals that can help your brain stay strong, even in your later years. 1. Move your body to wake your mind. You don't need to run marathons or lift heavy weights, but your brain needs blood flow, and nothing delivers it better than physical movement. A 20-minute walk in the morning, stretching while listening to calming music, dancing in your living room to a song from your youth. Movement increases oxygen to the brain. It stimulates the release of chemicals like dopamine and serotonin, which improve mood, focus, and motivation. It also encourages neurogenesis, the creation of new brain cells, even in older adults. Think of it this way: when you move your body, you're not just staying fit, you're telling your brain, I'm still here, I still care. 2. Feed your brain. Literally every bite you take is either helping your brain or hurting it. Foods rich in omega-3s, like salmon, walnuts, and flax seeds, are brain fuel. Blueberries, leafy greens, olive oil, and turmeric have been linked to better memory and slower cognitive decline. And water? It's not optional. Dehydration, even mild, can lead to confusion, fatigue, and forgetfulness. Start small. Add one brain-friendly food a day. Replace one processed snack with a handful of nuts. Choose tea over soda. A healthy brain is built, bite by bite. 3. Learn one new thing every day. The brain loves novelty. It thrives on challenge. And no, you don't need to go back to school. Just give your mind something new to play with. Learn a new word in a different language. Watch a documentary on a subject you've never explored. Try a puzzle, a riddle, a trivia game. Read a page from a book you've always meant to finish. Each time you learn something new, your brain creates new neural pathways. It's like forging a trail in a dense forest. The more often you walk it, the clearer it becomes. You're not just preserving memory, you're growing new branches. Talk to someone every single day. A 5-minute conversation can do more for your brain than 5 hours of television. Talking forces your brain to recall words, connect emotions, follow ideas, and respond in real time. It's one of the best exercises for your mind, and it's free. Call a friend, ask your neighbor about their garden, talk to a grandchild about what they're learning in school. Even chatting with a cashier can activate your social memory centers. And here's a tip: tell a story, something from your childhood, a lesson you once learned the hard way. When you tell a story, you're not just remembering, you're organizing thoughts, building coherence, and reconnecting with who you are. 5. Set a simple mind care. Ritual before bed. Most people think about skincare or taking medicine before bed, but what about your mind? Create a nightly ritual that sends a message to your brain. You did well today. That could be writing down 3 things you're grateful for, reflecting on one moment that made you smile, reading a calming poem or a few pages from a book, saying a simple prayer or affirmation. This helps your brain wind down, release stress, and store the memories you want to keep. It also trains your mind to end the day with peace, not panic. These 5 daily rituals aren't about perfection, they're about presence. You don't need to do all of them every single day. Start with 1, then 2. Let it grow. Because your brain, even after 80, is still listening, still growing, still capable of beauty, brilliance, and strength. And when you give it love through these tiny, consistent acts, it will give you clarity in return. You've heard it before: use it or lose it. But the truth is, how you use your mind matters just as much as whether you use it. You don't need to drill yourself with flashcards or memorize phone books. You don't need pressure. What your mind craves now after 80 is gentle stimulation, repetition with meaning, and emotional connection. Think of your brain as a beautiful garden. If left untended, weeds of forgetfulness grow. But with small, daily care, water here, a little pruning there, it blooms again. Here are some memory-boosting practices that feel more like self-care than hard work. 1. 3 things. Recall ritual. Every evening. Each night before bed, close your eyes and ask yourself, what are 3 things I did today? It can be simple: I made tea, I spoke to my daughter, I walked outside. This ritual strengthens your episodic memory, the part of your brain that stores your daily life. It gently teaches your brain to notice, to store, and to retrieve, without pressure. You can write them down if you like, or say them aloud. The important part is the habit, the returning to yourself each night. 2. Name practice. Keeping people close. As we age, names slip away first. It's frustrating and often embarrassing, but here's a secret. Your brain just needs more repetition with context. Take 5 minutes a day and look at photos of people you love. Friends, family, even old classmates. Say their names out loud. Recall a moment you shared. Add a sentence. This is Margaret. She always brought lemon cookies to church. Linking a name to a memory, a face, and a feeling, that brings it back to life and makes it easier to recall next time. Add a sentence. 3. Try micro-learning. 1 new thing per day. Your brain doesn't need to master big subjects. It needs to keep reaching. Learn the meaning of a word you've heard but never looked up. Try remembering the capital of a country. Look up how honey is made or the history of your favorite song. Make it a game. What's one thing I can learn today, just for fun? Write it on a sticky note. Say it out loud. Share it with someone. That little spark of curiosity tells your brain, we're still expanding. 4. Use all your senses, not just sight. Memory isn't just visual. In fact, some of your strongest memories are tied to smell, sound, taste, and touch. So activate them. Smell a familiar perfume and try to recall where you first smelled it. Listen to an old love song and see what feelings return. Cook a recipe from your childhood and talk about who used to make it. Multisensory experiences light up multiple areas of the brain, creating deeper, more lasting connections. 5. Tell a story, especially one from long ago. One of the most powerful brain exercises? Telling a story. Sit down with someone, a child, a caregiver, a friend, and tell them a true story from your past. The year you first rode a bicycle, the time your heart got broken, the day you stood up for someone. If no one is around, write it in a notebook, or speak it out loud to yourself. Your brain doesn't care who's listening, it just wants to remember. Storytelling engages language, sequencing, emotions, memory, and often humor. It's a full workout, and it leaves you feeling seen by your own self. These practices aren't cures. They're not about perfect memory. They're about honoring your mind and proving to yourself that it still works, in your way, in your rhythm, with your history. And most of all, they remind you that you are not fading, you are tending the garden. And every flower you help grow, every memory you nourish, is a victory against the quiet fog. Let's pause here, because even with all the rituals, the brain foods, the conversations, and the exercises, you will still forget things sometimes. That's not failure, that's life. So the most important part of keeping your mind sharp after 80 isn't just about memory, it's about how you respond to your forgetfulness. You can't bully your brain into clarity. You can't shame it into remembering. But you can speak to it with kindness. When you walk into a room and forget why, instead of saying, "What's wrong with me?" say, my mind must be juggling too much again. Let's retrace. When you forget someone's name, don't shrink away or panic. Smile and say, "Remind me again, I know your face and I don't want to get it wrong." That moment, when you offer yourself grace, is a turning point. It tells your brain we're safe. And the brain, when it feels safe, performs better. It remembers better. It heals better. Let me tell you about a man named Richard. He's 87. Last year, he told his daughter he was scared. He'd been forgetting little things. Not big things, just little ones. What he was about to say, where he left his keys, whether he'd taken his medication already. He started calling himself useless. Started sitting more, talking less, afraid he might embarrass himself. Afraid people would see the cracks. But his daughter, a teacher, sat him down one day and said, "Dad, your brain isn't broken, it's just tired, but it's still here, and it still needs love." Together they made small changes. They created memory rituals, they shared stories, they made him laugh again. And guess what? He still forgets things. But he's not afraid anymore, because now he knows it's okay to forget. It's not okay to give up. You may not have a daughter like Richard's, but you have something just as powerful. You have the ability to be gentle with yourself. You have the power to stop the cycle of fear, to replace self-doubt with self-respect. To say, I may not be who I was at 40, but I'm still me, and that is enough. Your brain is not a failing machine. It's a living part of you, growing, healing, remembering, forgetting, and adapting every single day. So here's what I hope you carry with you after this video. When your memory flickers, don't panic. Breathe, smile, try again, or let it go. When you feel slow, remind yourself that speed is for youth. Depth is for wisdom. When someone finishes your sentence or corrects your story, don't feel ashamed, just be proud that you're still sharing your voice. And when a quiet fear whispers you're losing yourself, you answer, no, I'm just learning to meet myself where I am. Because keeping your mind sharp isn't just about brain tricks. It's about compassion, about staying curious, about refusing to disappear from your own story. Even if the names fade, even if the details blur, the essence of who you are, your kindness, your humor, your strength remains. And with every little habit, every conversation, every moment of grace, you're not just holding on to memory, you're making new ones. So take a deep breath. And if you forget why you walked into the room, maybe it's because you were meant to pause and remember just how far you've come. You are not fading. You are still blooming, one beautiful day at a time. If this video touched something in you today, if it made you feel a little less alone, a little more understood, a little more hopeful, then hold on to that. You deserve to feel proud of the mind that's carried you this far. Through storms, through laughter, through decades of love and loss, your mind has been your companion. And it still is. So give it kindness, give it patience. And when the fog rolls in, light a candle of compassion instead of fear. Because after 80, it's not about remembering everything. It's about remembering what matters and choosing each day to keep showing up for yourself. If this message resonated with you, please consider subscribing to our channel, Golden Pathways. Here we create gentle, thoughtful content for people just like you, people who are still growing, still wondering, still walking the path of life with open hearts. And if you know someone, a friend, a parent, a neighbor, who's quietly struggling with forgetfulness, share this video with them. It might be the comfort they didn't know they needed. Thank you for being here. Thank you for trusting us with your time. You are not forgotten. You are still radiant. And your mind, even with its cracks, is still full of light. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, be gentle with yourself.